I'm going to go over the steps on how to change a socket and a cord on an old lamp. And my mom was an antique dealer for years, and so she has quite a few of these old lamps. But you can see, like on this one, the wires are actually starting to come out of the old plug. And so just for safety, I'm going to take a few of these old lamps and replace the cords and the sockets. And one easy way to do it is you can run to your hardware store and get one of these kits that actually have a new socket and a new cord. So to begin with, all we're going to have to do is, first step, we want to remove this harp. So there's two pieces of metal that slide down over the end of the harp. You pull those up and you just squeeze the harp and that comes off. And now the next step is we're going to want to remove the top part of the socket. And in some, if you just press it and squeeze it, you can remove it just like that by squeezing the sides and pulling this out. If you're struggling, you can also grab just a slotted screwdriver, wedge it into the edge, and pull it up. So once we have the old socket out, we remove the insulator, and this has just a slotted screw on both sides, so I'm just going to remove those and unscrew this wire, and you're going to have a silver screw and a gold screw, and that's going to help us when we reconnect the new one. We want to make sure it's polarized properly. So the first step is just remove the old socket. Now to remove the base of the old socket, I'm just going to unscrew this. Now some of them will have a set screw, which you'll have to look. If there's a set screw, just loosen that and then you'll be able to unscrew it. The next thing is, most lamps, and in fact when you connect the new one, they should have an underwriter knot. You should have a knot that's here to keep this wire from being pulled. If someone were to grab the end of the wire and pull it, or if you were to grab the lamp and pull it, you don't want this wire being pulled and coming off those screws and creating a shock hazard. So there really should be a knot here. It's called an underwriter's knot. And in this case there's not a knot. So we're going to unscrew the bottom of the socket, and now we'll pull the cord out. On most lamps, there's probably going to be either a cardboard bottom or a felt bottom on this, which you would take an edge and pull this off. In this particular lamp, there's not. So now all we have to do, since there's not a knot on the top, we're just going to pull the old cord out. So that's all there is to removing the cord and the old socket. Now we're going to push the new cord up into the lamp, and I'm just going to take the ends and twist them together so they hold together, and we're just going to push it right up through the center of the lamp. Now that I've pulled the wire through, we need to put the base on, and we're just going to pass this through. Now this new base to the socket actually has a set screw, so I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to screw it down, and then I'm going to just snug up that set screw with a screwdriver, and that's going to lock it in place. And now we need to tie an underwriter's knot, and that's going to be our safety. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to take the cord, and if this isn't pulled down, you're actually going to have two individual strands of wire that are connected together. And so if you need to, you can pull these apart. You're going to take one side and loop it in front of the wire, and then you're going to take the other side and pass it behind the wire through the first loop, and then you're going to take the other side and pass it through the second loop, and then just knot it up. And that's how you create your underwriter's knot. And now I'm just going to pull the wire tight from below, and now we're going to connect this to the top of the socket. To put the new socket in, we're going to take it apart, and you've got your outer shell, you've got a cardboard insulator, and then the socket base itself, and you're going to have a brass screw and a silver screw. Your brass is going to be the hot side, and your silver screw is going to be your neutral. And on the plug, you're going to have a small plug and a wide plug, and the small side is going to be your hot, and the wider side is your neutral. And on the wire itself, you're going to have one side that's smooth, that's your hot side, and you're going to have one side that's ribbed. So it's very important that you connect this properly so that it's safe. So we're just going to loosen the 2 screws. And on top, we're going to feel, now this side is ribbed, so this is our neutral, and we're just going to take a needle nose pliers and we're going to put a clockwise turn on the wire. And then on the other side, the smooth side, which is hot, we'll just put a clockwise turn on this. And so now I'm connecting my hot to the brass colored side, and I want that in the hook clockwise, so as I tighten this down, the screw is actually going to pull it tight. If I were to wrap that counterclockwise, it could actually pull off. And now I'll take my rib side, the neutral side, onto the silver screw. And I'll tighten that down. And that's how you connect the wires. So now we're going to put the top part of the socket, the outer part of the socket on, making sure that we have our insulating cardboard in there. We tuck that in, and now we're just going to snap it in place. So just putting some downward pressure and even a little bit of a twist, and that's going to snap in place. And that's all there is to it to connect a new socket and a new cord to an old lamp. I put a bulb in just to test it. And one thing I wanted to touch on was why it's important to wire it properly. And if you were to reverse the wires, the switch would still turn the bulb on and off. But if you were to remove the bulb and touch the inside, it would actually be carrying a live current, which would be a shock hazard. So changing the socket and the cord on a lamp, very easy project.